If you ever wished that you had a single resource that combined grammar, writing, comprehension, and critical thinking all in one, I think you're going to enjoy what I'm going to be reviewing today. Welcome back, friends. If you're new here, my name is Michelle and I am a homeschooling mama to 4 kiddos ages 13 all the way down to 10 months, and we are entering our 4th year of homeschooling. In today's video, I am sharing a review on something that I recently got my hands on that I think a lot of homeschooling families will find really helpful, and it is a literature-based discovery guide from Total Language Plus. Now, before I jump into my review on all of these goodies, here is a little background on Total Language Plus in case you are not familiar with who they are. They are a Charlotte Mason-inspired literature-based language arts program with a Christian perspective. Their discovery guides covers everything from writing, spelling, grammar, dictation, reading comprehension, and critical thinking. Now, full disclosure, I did receive a free guide from them in exchange for my honest review. However, once I received that guide, I was so amazed by how well done it was and all the things that they had in there that I did go ahead and purchase another guide myself that I will be reviewing as well alongside with the one they sent me. If you're new here, my family and I, we are currently using Ambleside Online as our core curriculum. My kids are working through their groups version. We are doing Form 2B. And right now, I feel like my kids just need a little extra something in terms of their writing. So when Total Language Plus reached out to me, I looked at their website and I thought that this would be a great way for me to supplement their writing. And I decided to go with their literature guide for The Lord of the Flies. Now, I'm gonna give you guys a full flip through of this guide, and then I'm going to share what ended up happening and why I purchased a second guide from them. So for all of their guides, you do have the option of purchasing their guides alone or purchasing the full set, which includes the book that goes along with the guide. So as I mentioned, Total Language Plus was generous enough to send me a guide for free to try out in exchange for my honest review. And then I went ahead and purchased a second guide from them, which I did choose to go with the set and get the book as well. So let's go ahead and just jump right into our flip through. So this was initially supposed to be a writing guide, which is why it looks a little bit different than their discovery guide. However, once they got started, there was just so much depth and information in there that they decided to turn it into a full-on discovery guide as well. So you're going to see just how much stuff is in this little guide here. So as soon as we open up our guide, it starts off with a note to teachers and students, which I love. It gives you a little overview on what you can expect from their guide. It gives you any disclaimers on the book that you should know. It also lets you know how long it's going to take to complete the unit. For this one, it is divided into 6 units with a 7th unit required to finish their writing assignment. So therefore, it should take a minimum of 7 weeks, but probably close to 10 or more weeks to complete this study. So plan to read about 10 to 15 minutes daily, or approximately 8 to 10 pages. So this one, as I mentioned, was initially supposed to be a writing guide. So they do have a writing assignment in here, and I love the way that they break up that writing assignment, which was one of the things that made me decide to go ahead and purchase my own separate unit from them. All of their guides also include a planning grid, which is amazingly helpful when planning out your week. As they mentioned, every unit should take you about 1 to 2 weeks, depending on how fast or how slow you and your child are going. What they recommend is for the readings, they have how many pages for that unit and breaking that up into 10 to 15 minute increments per day. And then in terms of the other categories, they are broken up into letters. So A, B, C, D, some of them have E in there. And what you're gonna do is you are going to do 1 letter from each of these sections per day. So for example, on Monday, you would work through each of the letter A's from each category. So your child would do vocab A context on Monday. They would also do flashcards for spelling. They would do a dictation for grammar, and then the writing enrichment analysis for that day. And then on Tuesday, they would work through letter B from each category and so on. Again, you get to kind of pick and choose how many days you want to work through this, and that should kind of give you an idea of how long it's going to realistically take you to complete the unit. Here is a quick look at their table of contents, and then we jump right into our first unit, and this one starts off with their enrichment. So for enrichment, this one does not follow their ABC schedule. Instead, it is broken up into three different sections, and what they recommend is that you assign about 20 minutes per section for your child and break that up into different days. So for example, they would work on analysis on Monday and they would spend about 20 minutes, and then on Tuesday they would work on the next section for about 20 minutes. For this particular study, they're going to be working towards a final essay, and in that essay it is going to be about how man's ethical nature shapes society more than a code of rules and regulations does. So to help them with that essay, for each unit, they're going to be working on a chart where they have to take notes on how each of the character is changing throughout the book. And I really, really love this part. This is one of my favorite parts because it's not just throwing your kids in saying, here's the topic for your essay, now go ahead and figure out how to write it. It's breaking it up into little chunks. They are going to be spending the next 7 to 10 weeks breaking up the characters, analyzing them, going into full detail before they have to actually go in and write their paper. So that is one of the things that I really, really love. They are really walking your child, guiding their hand step by step in order to get to that final paper. Unit 1 works through chapter 1 and chapter 2. Then it goes into their vocabulary worksheet. This one does have that A, B, C, D schedule. So for day A, they would only be working on this section of context clues, trying to figure out the meaning of words using a sentence from the book. Then they would go the next day and work on B, which is matching their vocabulary words. The next day they would do C, which is looking up the definition. And then on the 4th day, they would do section D, which is use the word in a sentence. And as with every curriculum, you don't have to do every single thing. So if you feel like this is a little too much for your child, you have the liberty to decide what you do want to work on and what you think they might skip or do at a later time. And that's kind of the beauty of, again, homeschooling, just being able to pick and choose and tailor to our kids' needs. Then it goes into spelling. So I love that for spelling, they actually include a little bit of Latin in here as well. And over here, they have, you're turning your spelling words into flashcards, and you check off each day that you review your flashcards. And again, this is also broken up into that A, B, C, D schedule for you. And then here we have our grammar. This is dictation. So you would have the book yourself. You wouldn't show this part to your child. You would read it to them, and then you would write down any words that they had some trouble with. And that is it for the first unit. Then it goes on to unit 2. And again, it follows the same layout for every single unit, which is also really good because it's very predictable. You know what comes next. They do change up the activities for spelling, kind of to just break up the mundane of things and keep things a little fresh, but you do know that First it's going to be vocabulary, then it's going to be spelling, then it's going to be grammar. So it's going to keep the same pattern. The activities will change a little bit just so that your child is not bored doing the same thing every single time. And the other thing that I love is that they always have the unit number up here so that you know what week or what unit you are working through. Take a look at the Witch of Blackbird Pond. So their discovery guide does start off very similar to our last one from the Lord of the Flies. It always includes a little note to students and teachers, kind of again going over what they're going to expect from this guide, any disclosures that there might be in terms of what to expect from the reading, and just going over how to use the planning grid and about how long it should take you to complete each unit. So again, this one is broken up into 7 units, and they suggest that each unit should take you about 1 to 2 weeks to complete, depending on how fast or how slow you and your child decide to go. So this one also has the ABCDE schedule for each category. So you would work on all of the letter A's for Monday, B for Tuesday, and so on. Now, there is a difference between their discovery guide and the writing guide that we saw with the Lord of the Flies. And the main difference is that there is not a key writing assignment that your child will be working on throughout the whole unit. Instead, they will be working on enrichment writing activities that are optional. Here's a little peek at their table of contents, and then it jumps into their enrichment writing page. Now, this is a lot different than the last one. In this one, as I mentioned, your child is not working through one specific writing assignment throughout the entire unit study. Instead, they front load a ton of different projects, activities, questions that you can do with your child. It says right at the top that it's not intended that every suggestion and activity presented in this section be followed. So they're giving you a variety of things to do to, like it says, to just enrich your study, and you get to pick and choose what you want to do. And not everything on here is writing specific. So they have right here, visit a shipyard, which is related to the book and would be a super fun activity to do if that is available in your area. Sail on a sailing vessel, find out what a roundhead was, research the Puritans and their lives in England. So it has a few different things here. You can card some wool. So a ton of things on here that would just make your learning a little more fun and more enriching. So everything is kind of front loaded for you here in these first few pages, and on the side it has in parentheses what chapter that activity is relevant to. So let's say we are reading chapter 10. I can look on here and see what activities they have for chapter 10, and we can do those activity if it's relevant or if time permits for us to be able to try that out. And that goes on for every section, for pictures, pen and paper, personal thinking, so some critical thinking questions on here. Again, it has the chapter that it goes with in parentheses there for you. So then we jump into our actual weekly breakdown, and this is the layout is very similar to the last one. Starts off with your enrichment writing. You're going to be working through chapters 1, 2, and 3 for this unit because the chapters are a little bit shorter than the previous one, and they're also less heavy than the Lord of the Flies. So you're working through 3 chapters for unit 1. Again, it's breaking down everything here for that specific chapter, but you do not have to do all of these. You are picking and choosing one or two that you want to do with your child. Then we go into our reading. They have some comprehension questions for you to do with your child. You can either have them write it down on a separate sheet of paper, or you can do this as a narration and just have them orally tell it to you. And we go into our vocabulary, kind of the same thing as with the Lord of the Flies. For A, they're working through context clues, trying to figure out the meaning of the word using sentences from the book. For B, they are matching the words to the vocabulary. C, they're looking it up in the glossary. And then D, they are putting a crossword with their vocabulary words. And E is review. And again, don't feel like you have to do every single thing on here. As you can see, there is so much, which is a wonderful thing, but it can also be a little bit overwhelming. So if you feel like it might be too much for your child, then just look through it and pick and choose what you feel is a best fit for you guys. All right, then we go into our spelling, grammar, dictation here again. And then it goes to Unit 2 and starts all over with that same layout. We start with writing enrichment. A full flip through on both of these studies. Here is my honest review on both of them. So as I mentioned at the start of the video, when Total Language Plus reached out to me, my initial thought for their unit was to use it as enrichment for my kids, to give them some extra practice with their writing. Now, when I looked over that first welcome page where they go over any information on the study and they explain any disclosure on the book that you're about to read, they did mention that with the Lord of the Flies, they highly recommend that you wait until at least high school to start this study with your child. That was a big mistake from me. I didn't do as thorough of a research in terms of the contents of the book. It was highly recommended to me. I don't remember when I read it as a kid, and I thought that we could do it together, but after looking through their study and seeing what they're going to be working on, I don't think that my kids are ready to start it just yet. I think that my 8th grader might be able to handle it, but we like to do things we like to do it family style, and that was kind of the intention, to do it all together. And even though my 8th grader might be ready for it, I definitely know that my 4th grader is not going to be okay even listening to it. So we are going to hold off on the Lord of the Fly. So that was my mistake. My bad. This has nothing to do with Total Language Plus. So I felt horrible that I wasn't going to be able to dive right into their study just yet. And as I mentioned, I love how they did this study. And my favorite part is that character analysis chart and helping them step by step to be able to write that big paper at the end. I love that so much, and I'm excited for us to try this when the time is right. But for now, we're gonna put it on hold And because of that, I did end up going back to their website and purchasing a study myself that I knew that I can do with my kids now, to be able to give you my honest review and share how we're enjoying it. So plan B, instead of doing writing enrichment with my kids, this one is supposed to be for my 4th grader. So if you looked at the flip through, you can tell that some of the activities, the questions are a little bit shorter. Even the font is a little bit bigger. And that is because this one is intended to be for the younger kids. Of course, my older 2 are still going to listen as we do the read aloud, because there are some comprehension questions on here that can definitely be expanded on for the older kiddos. My intentions with this is to kind of use it for my son for his grammar. As I said, we are using Ambleside Online as our core curriculum. So there's a ton of things already in there. And this particular studies, they can be used as a standalone language arts curriculum. There is so much in here that you really don't need anything else for language arts. With that being said, we are going to be picking and choosing little things that we are going to work with. We are not going to be doing the full guide. We're not going to be doing every single thing that is on here, just because we are already doing something else for language arts. But I'm excited to use the grammar and the spelling section, and I think that we will also be using their dictation, and that can be used with all 3 of my kids. So that is how I'm planning to use this. Stick around for an update on how we are enjoying it. So I really hope that you guys found this video helpful in some way. I will be completely honest with you. I was not familiar with Total Language Plus at all until they reached out to me and I dug in and got to see what they were all about. I feel like it should be a curriculum that is talked about so much more, and I was shocked that I haven't heard about it before, because it really is so good. So let me know in the comments, have you heard of Total Language Plus? Have you tried it before? If you have, what study did you use? What did you like? What did you not like? Let me know in the comments. If you have not done already, don't forget to like and subscribe to keep up with us, to follow our journey. I share the good, the bad, and everything in between of homeschooling and motherhood. And I also just love to meet new people, have conversations in the comment section, and get to know all of you. All right, friends, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye everyone.